It is day 37 of the fascist Trump regime, and things are continuing apace. There's a lot of unraveling. There is a lot of shifting. There are a lot of things about which we need to be concerned. And this is again runs the gamut from what's happening locally at town halls and what's happening globally, specifically with the situation in Ukraine, but more broadly with the situation with the Western alliance. Everything feels like it is under assault, and that's because it is. So, all we can do really is recognize that our only option here is to slow things down. That is happening in the courts. I have to I have to believe that Democrats in Congress are doing that as well. In the meantime, the unraveling will continue, the damage will continue, and the threats to our democracy will continue. So, the best thing that could happen is if because again, we can't do anything to expedite this process, burn it all down as quickly as possible so we can start over. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's episode of Mary Trump Live. It is wonderful to have you with me, as always. Today, that's February 25th, 2025, the House advanced Donald's budget plan. You know, what a great planner and economist he is. After a 217 to 211 procedural vote, setting up a final floor vote for Tuesday evening. According to CBS report from this afternoon, Speaker Mike Johnson said, quote, "There may be a vote tonight, there may not be." And that is the decisiveness we've come to expect from him. House Republicans cleared a key hurdle today on a budget proposal that would unlock Donald's legislative agenda after a handful of members expressed opposition to the package. Only one Republican member did not vote. 4 Democrats were absent, which means that this was a vote along party lines. Good for you, Democrats. Let's keep it that way. According to a report this afternoon in Politico, Donald called Representative Tim Burchett, who's a Republican from Tennessee, while Burchett was in Johnson's office, urging him to support the budget. Burchett was overheard thanking Donald before handing the phone back to Johnson. Speaker Johnson must keep nearly every single Republican in line. He can only afford to have one defection from his party because it is so razor thin in the House of Representatives, which is again why he's probably going to need Democratic votes. And I'll have more to say about that in a little bit. So here is what Johnson had to say when he was asked point blank about the cuts to Medicaid, which would take an $800 billion or more hit. It's a lot of money, unless you're Elon Musk, of course. If this bill is passed, it would also have a serious negative impact on SNAP and veterans benefits, but who cares about that? Play the clip.
You said that this is just the start of the process. Can you say unequivocally that further down the line, there won't be any cuts to Medicaid programs?
Yeah, so look, let me clarify what we're talking about with Medicaid. Medicaid is hugely problematic because it has a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse. Everybody knows that. We all know it intuitively. No one in here would disagree. We had a hearing in budget just last week, or week before last, and they asked the experts, and the estimate is, I think it's $50 billion a year in fraud alone in Medicaid. Those are precious taxpayer dollars. Everybody is committed to preserving Medicare benefits for those who desperately need it and deserve it and qualify for it. What we're talking about is rooting out the fraud, waste, and abuse. Every taxpayer, it doesn't matter what party you're in, you should be for that because it saves your money and it preserves the programs so that it is available for the people who desperately need it. That's what we're about. And
yeah, you're vile. The House GOP budget plan includes $4.5 trillion in tax cuts and calls for at least $1.5 trillion in spending cuts. while raising the debt ceiling by $4 trillion. If House committees don't achieve at least $2 trillion in spending cuts, then tax cuts would be scaled back in an amendment to the resolution that was made to appease conservatives, which is a word that really needs to be discarded. It means nothing anymore. I think if you're a Republican, you're either fascist adjacent or fascist. And my opinion, if you're fascist adjacent, you're also fascist. Since Donald's endorsement, just quick thing. I think what they're talking about, what we mean here is fiscal hawks, like people who don't want any Americans to have anything good in their lives. Those guys. Since Donald's endorsement of the House resolution, Senate Republicans have built their own budget plan as a backup. Way to stand up, guys. The Senate plan would divide the reconciliation process into two bills, with the first aimed at quickly delivering resources for border security and defense. I'm so happy they have their priorities straight, while a later bill would tackle the tax priorities. And if anybody could tell me how any of those things help Americans with their day-to-day lives, I would love to know. Senate Republicans also want to make the tax cuts permanent, which would destroy us, which the House version does not, which I have to confess I found a little surprising. Okay, so in that clip of Speaker Johnson, he demonstrated a few things. One, he's a quick study. Observational learning is a thing. He's gotten really good at mimicking his, boss. I don't know what Donald is to him, but it's not good. Donald is the one who always says things like, everybody here knows what I'm saying is true. Also, credit where credit is due, Republicans are very good at the whole talking points thing. I think he said waste, fraud, and abuse. It sounded like it's just one word now, waste, fraud, abuse, waste, fraud, abuse. I think he said it many, many times. But again, it's just code. It's code for breaking whatever we want so we can give whatever we want to the people who least need it. In other news, Caroline Leavitt, that horrible person who's White House press secretary, held a conference earlier today in the White House press room where she was asked some serious questions that seemed to which she seemed not to know the answers, especially about Doge. Play the clip.
A federal judge yesterday was saying that they didn't know who the Doge administrator was and was asking the lawyer for the administration who it was, and the lawyer responded, I don't know the answer to that. Can you tell us who the administrator of Doge is?
Again, I've been asked and answered this question. Elon Musk is overseeing Doge. There are career No, Elon Musk is a special government employee, which I've also been asked and have answered that question as well. There are career officials at Doge. There are political appointees at Doge. I'm not going to reveal the name of that individual from this podium. I'm happy to follow up and provide that to you. But we've been incredibly transparent about the way that Doge is working.
I am so transparent that I am not going to tell you anything. Yes. Sounds about right. They also need to fix her audio. I mean, not that we want to hear her better, but we certainly don't want to hear more of her. Anyway, Leavitt then said that the Trump regime would start handpicking this is bad, would start handpicking which media outlets were allowed to participate in the presidential pool. The small rotating group of journalists who relay the president's day-to-day activities to the public, which breaks decades of precedent because that is one of their few skills. Take a look.
As you all saw yesterday, a federal judge denied the Associated Press's emergency motion for a temporary restraining order against myself, our Deputy Chief of Staff Taylor Budowich, and our Chief of Staff Susie Wiles for our decision to remove the Associated Press from the White House press pool for certain and special events. The judge's ruling upholding our decision to deny the Associated Press such privileged access reinforces the truth. Asking the President of the United States questions in limited spaces such as the Oval Office and Air Force One is a privilege that unfortunately has only been granted to a few. As you all know, for decades, a group of DC-based journalists, the White House Correspondents Association, has long dictated which journalists get to ask questions of the President of the United States in these most intimate spaces. Not anymore. Moving forward, the White House press pool will be determined by the White House press team. Legacy outlets who have participated in the press pool for decades will still be allowed to join. Fear not.
Ooh, fear not. Okay, as I said, an alarming development. What's more alarming to me, of course, is that an actual judge act, thought that it was a good ruling to say that a reporter could be banned from the White House press room because he said the Gulf of Mexico instead of the Gulf of America. That's worse. I mean, listen, Donald hasn't read the Constitution, so why would a federal judge? Right? I mean, they're not going to pay attention to it anyway. They're certainly not going to follow it. But this is worse because the American people are not going to be informed. They are not going to know, to the extent that they do anyway, they're not going to know what is really going on in this White House. It will be the same handful of sycophants picking and choosing what they report. They will be asking the same softball questions. They will be ignoring the really important stuff. But, at least there will be some measure of justice because they're going to have to deal with that woman every day. Anyway, Leavitt defended Elon's 5 things you did at camp last summer email. Play the clip, please.
We advise federal workers, unless your agency has dictated you not to respond to this email. In fact, I can announce that we've had more than 1 million workers who have chosen to participate in this very simple task of, again, sending 5 bullet points to your direct supervisor or manager, CCing OPM. I actually participated in myself. It took me about a minute and a half to think of 5 things I did last week. I do 5 things in about 10 minutes, and all federal workers should be working at the same pace that President Trump is working and moving.
Oh my God, everything would grind to a halt. That would be awesome. Also, it's very easy to fill something out in 2 seconds or whatever she said when all you do all day long is lie. 1, I lied. 2, you get the point. I don't believe that million number, but if that's true, I bet you that 90% of them were snarky. That's my hope anyway. Okay, there's more Doge news because there's always Doge news, despite the fact that it's an illegal, unconstitutional, fictional agency that was created without the authorization of Congress, which is kind of one of the constitutional duties of Congress, but whatever, I guess. Over 21 civil servants, federal technology employees resigned from Doge today, citing their refusal to use their expertise to, quote, dismantle critical public services, unquote. The staffers who resigned worked for what was once known as the United States Digital Service, an office that had been established in response to the initially poor rollout of healthcare.gov. The joint resignation letter stated, quote, "We swore to serve the American people and uphold our oath to the Constitution across presidential administrations. However, it has become clear that we can no longer honor those commitments," unquote. The letter stated that the day after the inauguration, they and their former employees were grilled by people wearing White House visitors badges, some of whom would not give their names, and questioned about their qualifications in politics. Some made statements that indicated they had limited technical understanding, indicated that they were fans of Elon Musk's, not exactly qualified people. Quote, "Several of these interviewers refused to identify themselves, asked questions about political loyalty, attempted to pit colleagues against each other, and demonstrated limited technical ability. This process created significant security risks." I bet it did. In breaking news, in lockstep with the Doge purge playbook, today, acting Social Security Administrator Commissioner Leland Dudek abolished the Civil Rights and Equal Opportunity Division, putting all employees on immediate leave, which is a likely precursor to terminations. Dudek was suspected of leaking unauthorized SSA data and sharing SSA access with Doge. He was about to be fired, but was suddenly promoted over 100 senior officials who were much more qualified to lead SSA. SRO was legally mandated, making its elimination highly questionable under federal law. Sources warn that similar extreme and potentially illegal actions are unfolding across government agencies. In more questionable actions, Ukraine and the United States have agreed on a minerals deal with a signing expected as early as Friday, February 28th, 2025. The deal involves Kyiv paying 50% of its revenues from its state-owned natural resources into a fund that will invest in Ukraine. However, a lot of the terms of the deal are still vague. Here's national security and intelligence analyst Mark Polymeropoulos with more. Let's take a look.
This deal, of course, there's no notion yet of what are the security guarantees. I mean, what does Ukraine actually get for this? And that is an unknown. And I really think you see countries in Europe understanding this. We almost have this, mercantilist attitude towards this mineral deal. We almost are acting like a mafia state, two mafia dons negotiating over something. You have the underbosses meeting in Riyadh, and then somehow they're going to decide what happens in their city. I mean, it's really a betrayal of U.S. values. And Trump is not being a peacemaker in any way. He's actually betraying a country, Ukraine, that I would remind people is an ally of the United States.
Initially, President Volodymyr Zelensky strongly opposed previous U.S. proposals, which reportedly included handing over mineral oil, gas, port, and infrastructure revenues totaling $500 billion in exchange for nothing. That was to pay past debts, which didn't exist because we gave Ukraine money as their ally. And also, people forget this. The vast majority of the money the United States earmarked for support of Ukraine was spent in the United States. Not too long ago, Zelensky said, quote, "I will not sign what 10 generations of Ukrainians will have to pay back," unquote. Ukraine holds vast deposits of key elements like lithium and titanium, which are crucial for modern technology and global competition. This is just another awful step in what will likely be a not very promising future for Ukraine. I don't know, as the commentators said, doesn't seem like there are any security guarantees made by the United States there, which makes one question, why exactly would Ukraine hand anything over at this point? Obviously, we're going to find out a lot more about that, but it is alarming. And it is not like a mob thing. It's not like the underbosses and the mafia dons. That's exactly what this country is now. So we may as well acknowledge it, but let's not get used to it. Unfortunately, there was another close call today in the air. This morning, there was a confirmed near miss between a jet and a Southwest Airlines plane at Chicago's Midway International Airport. The jet was a private one. The near collision occurred at approximately 8:50 this morning and was captured on video by Streamtime Live. The FAA released the following statement, quote, "The crew of Southwest Airlines Flight 2504 initiated a go-around when a business jet entered the runway without authorization at Chicago Midway Airport," unquote. Here is what that looked like. Republicans are okay with this. I bet there were Republicans on both of those planes, right? They're okay with this because I guess you just can't cross. If you want to stay in office, you have to do whatever they tell you to do, including ceding all of your constitutional authority to do anything. I don't know. Why don't just retire? Take your very good pension, which will include excellent health care for the rest of your life, and let somebody else try. Is it really that important to you guys? Yeah, that was a rhetorical question. Of course it is. It used to be that when a plane crash happened, everybody thought, well, now is the best time to fly because it's so rare. We don't have that guarantee anymore because this is happening all the time now. Good news if you're an Apple person, which I am. Apple shareholders voted to keep the company's DEI policies, which is a rarity these days, and it's really good news. Despite opposition from the conservative National Center for Public Policy Research, which argued that recent legal changes could lead to more discrimination lawsuits. Apple defended its DEI efforts, highlighting initiatives like racial justice support for historically Black colleges and global projects in Mexico and Australia. CEO Tim Cook, who has a lot to answer for, quite frankly, reiterated Apple's commitment to diversity while acknowledging potential policy adjustments to comply with changing laws. Apple now joins one of the very, very few major corporations taking a stand against Donald's anti-DEI measures, which are just gaining speed. They're like, it's everywhere now, as you know. But just on a personal note, I honestly do not know what I would have done if I couldn't use Apple products. So thanks, guys. Much appreciated. It would be really great if we saw more of that instead of less. Okay, another Republican is involved in an assault. Again, I'm beginning to think this kinds of behavior, because of course it was against a woman, is compulsory if you want to be an elected Republican. This was Florida Republican Corey Mills. He refuted the allegations of an assault, insisting that both he and the alleged victim both deny any physical altercation. So that should settle the matter, right? Here's what happened, though. Watch this clip.
According to an internal police report obtained by News 4 and confirmed by two sources familiar with the case, the young woman who we're not naming called police to report an assault Wednesday afternoon inside a penthouse at this luxury Southwest DC apartment building. When police arrived, the woman was in the lobby of the Salamander Hotel next door. According to the report, the officer was able to immediately identify the alleged victim out of all the other patrons in the lobby by her demeanor, physically shaking and scared. The report said the unnamed subject, now identified by DC police as Representative Corey Mills from Florida, grabbed her, shoved her, and pushed her out the door. It notes the officer saw bruises on both arms, one fresh, the other older, both, the alleged victim said, caused by Mills. It goes on to say the responding officer, who has not responded to News 4's calls, heard Mills on the phone instruct her to lie about the origin of the bruises, and that Mills made contact with the police and admitted the situation escalated from verbal to physical, but it was severe enough to create bruising. Despite a DC law saying officers shall arrest a suspect when they see evidence of injury, even just pain, no arrest was made.
Of course not. He's a congressman and he said it didn't happen. What more do we need to know? Well, we knew a lot, actually. There were witnesses. The woman called the police. That should have been the end of it. But no. The woman, as he said, her identity is being withheld by law enforcement, is now claiming that she was severely jet lagged and sleep deprived, stating there was no physical altercation. The police department submitted an arrest warrant, a request to the U.S. Attorney's Office, but it was never signed, effectively ending any legal action against Mills. The Metropolitan Police Department is now reviewing its handling of the case, raising concerns about possible mishandling or political interference in the investigation. Well, that's probably because those things occurred. This one's simple. As I said, it just literally seems like if you want to be a Republican, you have to be that kind of guy. Nothing about this makes me think that woman was not telling you the truth the first time around. Always believe the woman. Always. That is the position from which we must start every single time. I mean, again, you got to figure out how to fit in the Trump regime, right? Yeah. Okay. It is time for the emotional support moment. This one. It's about a puppy mountain. Yeah, a puppy mountain. Shanghai designer, sorry, I'll try. Guo Jingzhan, that was terrible, I think, but I don't even know. Shared a vacation photo on Valentine's Day with the caption Puppy Mountain, and it quickly went viral in China, which is huge. I mean, if something goes viral in China, like 10 billion people there. So it sparked interest in this new tourist spot. Guo had been hiking in his hometown of Yishang, Hubei province. Look at me go. In late January. As he looked back at his photos, he noticed something striking, a mountain resembling a dog's head with its snout positioned at the edge of the Yangtze River. Now, I feel like I may have misled you because I actually thought that there were puppies on the mountain. So I owe you some puppies, I think. I think that's fair. But, every day, I am not kidding. We Google, is there any good news in the world? And there never is. So it was Puppy Mountain, which again is misleading, or some more underwater stuff. But I feel like we've been underwater a lot. Not saying that's because that's where I wish I were. I'm not saying that at all. All right, let's get to your comments and questions. And I'd like to thank our donators and super stickers. Lisa Seal, Canadian. Thank you. And I'm so sorry, but thank you so much for that. That's very kind. Sherry, another super sticker. Thank you so much. Cindy, thank you as well. Another super sticker. Excuse me. Diana, thanks so much to you as well. Sorry, guys. Suki56, thanks again as always. Comment, I don't believe anything the White House says. They're full of shit. Yes, they are. I don't believe anything they say either, and nobody should. Hydro, thank you very much. Super sticker. Very generous of you. Neuropilot, thank you very much. Comment, Zelensky didn't agree and won't. Trump bullshit. Yeah, it's very hard to know until we know, right? I don't believe anything they say until we have evidence that we can see with our own eyes. Suki56 again. You're outdoing yourself. Comment, I do need... Stop it. Don't fly over the White House. Paul, comment. You have to bend the knee to Connell if you want to be part of the White House press corps. Yeah, exactly. I mean, he just cannot handle any opposition. Now, forget about opposition. He can't be fact-checked. He's just the weakest, most pathetic person ever. And even though, like, protecting himself in this way, it's not going to help. Because there are some people who have plans. Christina, Canadian here. Thank you. And again, deeply sorry. Stephen Colbert said it best to the 5 accomplishments of the week. 1, your mom. 2, your mom. 3, your mom. 4, your mom. And 5, your mom. Yes, good one. I mean, whoever said that would have been fired, I'm assuming, but yes. Scott, super sticker. Thank you so very much. Ballard, another super sticker. Thank you. That's very generous of you. Dawn, another Canadian. Canadians in the house tonight. Thank you very much for that. The comment is, thanks for all you do, Mary. Freaking out here in Canada. Yeah, we're freaking out too, on your behalf, but mostly on ours. Stay tough. It's going to be all right. Deb, question. Mary, do you think Donald addresses Macron as president, but refers to Trudeau as governor? Thanks. It's hard for me to imagine Donald referring to anybody by an honorific other than Vladimir Putin. But I don't know. I mean, I think it would be weird for people of the same rank to call each other by their titles, but I am not conversant in these ways. So, yeah, I think we can check that out. Dusk, super sticker, very generous of you. We really appreciate it. I'm missing something apparently, but that's okay. Robert, another super sticker. Thank you so much, Robert. And that's it. That does it for us tonight. A not overwhelmingly newsy day. That doesn't happen much. I have to be honest, I don't think it's happened yet. So nice. All right. Thank you to everybody watching on YouTube. I spoke too soon. JW, super sticker. Thank you very, very much. Love my dogs a lot. Thanks again. Another super sticker. Very kind of you. Just me. Thank you very much. Also, comment in other news. China held live fire exercise off the coast of Australia yesterday. Cool. I'm guessing that A means you two are from Australia and you would know. Oh, yeah. All right. Well, again, never ends, but we're here. So it's all good. So again, thanks to anybody watching on YouTube, streaming on Twitter, listening on the podcast. Really appreciate it. We appreciate everybody who comments. Your comments are amazing. To all of our super stickers, everybody donating. We could not do this without you. We so deeply appreciate it. To our moderators who just keep things running smoothly. And I know it's a lot of work and a heavy lift sometimes. So thank you for that. To my exceptional, extraordinary, wonderful team. Thanks, guys. And we will be back tomorrow night, every weeknight, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern for Mary Trump Live. The nerds will be back on Thursday, and we've got videos dropping all the time that do deeper dives. We have one about the town hall situation across the country that you absolutely should check out, and many others. So just keep checking them. The best way to know is become a subscriber to the channel. It doesn't cost anything. After you subscribe, click on the bell icon because you will be alerted every time new videos drop, whether they're live or recorded. Also, please like and share our videos. Get the word out. And we would also appreciate that very, very much. All right, that does it for us. I will see you here live tomorrow night for Mary Trump Live again, 6 p.m. Eastern. In the meantime, everybody, please stay safe and be kind.